Ilta saapuu hiljaa huohtaa.
With their indisputable inclination towards showcasing both the material means of the character's habitat, meaning their jobs and workplace, and the distinctive Finnish-sized loserdom that forms the locality of Finland dominant in Kaurismäki's filmic atmosphere, trilogy movies can be very much enlightening as to examine and understand the grey area in which the absolute proletariat and just Finnish losers' identities are intertwined and their differences become challenging to detect. And our video essay will exactly try to detect those differences with reference to that grey area surfaced best in Proletariat trilogy by elaborating on the idea of Finnish realism and Finnish character. One of the major components of Aki Kaurismäki's unique style in Proletariat trilogy is his character creation. Those hidden and ugly heroes of a doomed life are defined by their status on the society as outsiders. One protagonist is a garbage collector, the other one is an unemployed mine worker, and the girl in the Match Factory Girl is a lonesome factory worker. Characters as being outsiders are left out from the society, and they represent not just a physical isolation, but also an isolation from the environment of higher class people, thus from their socio-cultural and economical realm. Disfranchisement of characters from social acceptance and humane respect as individuals leave them idle in life. Moreover, them being idle in society cause them to search for something that they can attribute meaning to, and characters' burning desire to find that something leads them to act suddenly and instinctively in their search.
On tullut pimeää. Haluatko tulla ylös?
Jos ei siitä ole liikaa vaivaa.
Minulla on vain kahvia, ei mitään juotavaa.
Kahvi käy hyvin.
Minä olen eronnut.
Älä anna sen masentaa.
Minulla on lapsikin.
Aina parempi. Säästämme vaivaa, kun perustamme perheen.
The other dominant feature of Kaurismäki's character is him or her being deadpan or emotionally unattainable. Almost seem alien to the known world, they don't seem to be in need to transmit their emotions to one another in a way that we used to. They are distant from any melodramatic expression of their feeling. On the contrary, they are deadly serious and direct in their actions. Hence, the way they think is quite certain and without sentiment. They don't laugh, which is actually the result of Kaurismäki's no laughing rule and speak few words or sometimes none at all.
I hate people laughing. They make such a noise. It goes in my ears. That's why I never laugh myself.
In other words, they behave almost inhumanly, free from excitement that can be shown through their bodies. Instead, they end up being just weirdly mechanical. This very mechanical acting of trilogy's characters may be a result of Kaurismäki's approach to acting. For him, actor should regard himself as a narrator, and the basis for all art is reduction, simplicity. So, maybe what we consider as strange, bleak and numb when we talk about the protagonist's nature could be just a desired simplicity surfacing on the characters. As we mentioned in the introduction, Kaurismäki's character is simply a loser. Even Kaurismäki himself would not call the trilogy a proletariat trilogy.
I wouldn't call it a proletarian trilogy. It's a loser trilogy. One step under proletariat.
And the characters being loser is embedded in another stylistic feature of the movies, which is black comedic situations happening over and over again. Moreover, beside the black comedic instances recurrently experienced, the points where these instances happen is quite telling. Kaurismäki, which is actually in parallel to his resistance to emotional romanticism, shrinks away from intensifying the effect of loss, disappointment, misfortune, or injustice via creating black comedic situations.
Laivan nimi on Ariel. Hernesaaren kärjessä kello 10. Hoidatkaa sydämeni kaatopaikalle. Mikäs nappula tämä?
Although we find the situations cruel, they are just instances of real-life experience for Kaurismäki. And humor in Trilogy is just a touch of lightening the kitsch cliché drama. It is a direct result of his consideration regarding the overplayed drama as an unnecessary build-up for both the story and the character. Through this very understanding, Kaurismäki succeeds at motivating his viewers to draw intellectual conclusions from the filmic situations, instead of leading them to attach emotionally to what they see on the screen. The other crucial feature of Proletariat Trilogy is how it actually conveys a consistent Finnish realist attitude throughout its films. As proclaimed by Kaurismäki, the Match Factory Girl, along with the earlier two, dedicated to the memory of Finnish realism. In that sense, Kaurismäki's remarks regarding his movie's thematical intention as to just reflect the people struggling in a place where they were born is quite enlightening in terms of how he approaches to his stories and characters. What really seems to strike the attention of Kaurismäki is to people around him and their stories. Once a proletariat himself, Kaurismäki draws into the attraction of the hidden and lost people of Finland. However, his attraction does not emanate from the fact that those people are proletariat, but from the similarity of experiences that both Kaurismäki and his characters had in a shared place.
I was in building industry before.
Building industry?
Yes, in the lowest depths of the industry. Construction.
And then suddenly you went into film?
Yeah, like this.
Fine.
Hence, the representation of proletariat in the Proletariat Trilogy revolves around the continuous evolution of Finland, thus its effects on its very own people. One of the most radical sociocultural and economical changes in Finland have taken place in the beginnings of the 80s, when actually Kaurismäki started making films. Throughout the 80s, the shape that Finland is taking is positioned in limbo between the demolished worldview of former Soviet Union and incoming Euro-Americanism. In other words, the exact gray area that Proletariat Trilogy takes place, and which may be best exemplified in the scene from Leningrad Cowboys Go America.
For last 20 years, built a local.
Moreover, Finland's uncontrolled transition into neoliberalism and the sociocultural economical revolution it brought was echoed as the reason of both economical and existential insecurity that people felt and their displacement from their usual habitat.
It seems to be something you're quite keen on showing is documenting city life in Finland, kind of modern life, but in a very realistic way.
Since I have to document it because it's gone very, very soon. Still I'm showing 70s nowadays. 70s was like that. My films look like 70s, not 80s. It's much more modern and cruel nowadays.
So what is it about the new Finland that you don't like?
Well, it could be anywhere, New Finland. It's Europe. Modern Europe. Same thing is happening in every country.
As offered by Henry Bacon, displacement politics of Kaurismäki allows his films, even at their strangest and most caricatured, to be about an authentic Finnish reality. In that regard, Kaurismäki's proletariat protagonists' idiosyncratic way of behaving, talking, dressing, or eating is not the mere reason that these films are considered Finnish, but also the very factors that transforming Finland both economically and socioculturally. Hence, it can be concluded with reference to Proletariat Trilogy that Kaurismäki is indeed critical of the Western nation-state system, which is shedding its original welfare state functions in favor of a neoliberalist struggle for global markets, where traditional conceptions of community and belonging are left behind in favor of individualistic gain.
European society is based on organizing most of the money based on people's work to the banks and rich people, giving the rest enough to buy the products which they make through the big companies. I think capitalism in general is a crime.
And from that point, it would be very reasonable to expect that Aki Kaurismäki represents a highly political standpoint of the proletariat. But does he really? Class warfare is somewhat alien to Kaurismäki's world, if only because the exploited prefer to raise a glass to drown out their doom rather than raise their voices or fists against their oppressors. It is true that Aki Kaurismäki employs individuals from lower class, namely proletariat, but the trilogy's films themselves never turn into a political manifestos nor a call for a worker solidarity. On the contrary, Kaurismäki offers individual tales of the marginalized, yet he does it out of his character's material existence. It is the exact point where the line that separates Kaurismäki's individualism from political motivations becomes blurry. He consistently reflects and gives a voice to the proletariat, but never engulfs in the agitation of the so-called revolutionary delirium, and he doesn't seem to have changed a lot.
Your films have a strong social background. Are you politically involved in Finland, or?
No, I'm not involved. Jean-Luc Godard said in his craziest days that the chair you are sitting in is political. For me, it's just a chair. It prevents me from falling to the earth.
It is almost Kaurismäki given a neorealism a twist. For instance, in Kaurismäki's hand, the quest for secure work that provided the drama for Desica, Sunshine and Bicycle Thieves becomes comedy. In other words, the political in Desica becomes a non-political appreciation of the Finland's hidden heroes in Kaurismäki's proletariat trilogy. At the end, what's really common between the trilogy's characters is nothing but a search for love, well-being, dignity, memory, and survival. It is the same story. People try to survive in the world where they were born.
Ilta saapuu hiljaa huohtain. Valot syttyy taakse ikkunain. Ei jää